Fellas, it's the last good man in Jersey, here with a message to help you win. Today we're going to talk about how unattractive guys can win. And this is not going to be the kind of conversation that you traditionally hear about this from guys who either really don't know what it's like to be in the trenches or who give basically bad advice about begging and pleading. No, this is a conversation about how you can win, but you need to understand that winning looks different for us than it does for other groups. Before we jump into this, click like, click subscribe, and as we go through this conversation, drop comments, because I want to change the narrative about what value looks like. And I want to do that by starting with you and starting with how you think about dating and success. Okay. Let's start off with something that's fairly well known, but needs to be stated. There's a triple standard in life. There are attractive people, average people, and unattractive people. And the rules of engagement are very different depending upon which one of these three groups you're in. If someone who's attractive is trying to give you advice on dating, it's usually trash, because it's something that probably works for them, but doesn't work for you. Just be confident. Like, yeah, that doesn't really work. For you, sure. For me, no. I have to bring a different set of treasures to the trove if I want to be able to win. Or the guys who kind of give those long stories about how, ugly guys try harder, unattractive guys try harder. No, forget all of that. This isn't a conversation about how to be better beggars. No, this is a conversation about winning. Okay? Let's start with something that is easy to relate to. Since it's easy to think, there's got to be some gimmick here. Like, not exactly. Can you relate to this situation? Beautiful woman, unattractive guy, dating. What comes to your mind when you see that? What came to your mind when you thought about that? Probably, he has money. That's typically where you go with something like that. He's providing a lot for her, and that's why she's with him. It has nothing to do with him. There's a reason why you do that, beyond just the obvious he's bringing money and she's bringing beauty to the table. There's a deeper thing that's happening here, and we're going to get into that. But I just want you to have that scenario in your head as we start to think about this conversation. This is probably going to be the first part of a series, because there's a lot of depth here. But let's start with the simplest piece, which is going to come at you from left field most likely, but it's going to make increasingly more sense as we get into it. Let's talk about stories. More specifically, let's talk about fairy tales. Why? Because fairy tales really help you to understand the underpinnings of male and female interactions. Drivers, what we've been taught as kids, how it relates to what we seek as adults. One of the most common stories that's out there is the princess and the prince, in some form or fashion. The beauty and the prince, in some form or fashion. There's a maiden, there's a princess, but there's always a prince, and he's the prize. And what happens in these stories? The princess, or the maiden, always gets the prince in the end. She's beautiful, and that alone is enough to warrant the prince's attraction. Not only that, but the prince is always going to the ends of the earth to win her over. scouring the earth for the woman with the glass slipper, fighting through thorn bushes and laddering up on hair to get to the high tower and win the maiden over, overcoming curses to awaken the sleeping beauty. There's always a story about a woman who is beautiful and because of her beauty deserves the very best. Do you see the parallel here? The women going after the very best. What do we notice when we think about these stories? The woman in the stories may or may not be good-hearted. Typically she, is thought of as being good-hearted, but more often than not, it's really just her beauty that wins the day. Her beauty translates to her value, her being deserving of a prince. Who will fight for her? The prince is, starting with the most obvious, royal blood, better caliber of individual. The prince is attractive. The prince is devoted to the princess. That's a common theme in the stories. Whether you're of meager means, Cinderella, or royalty, somehow tragically cursed, Sleeping Beauty, the prince will come and rescue you and will fight to do so. That's the story that drives the interactions between the princess and the prince, drives the interactions between women who are chasing, the very best in men, regardless of their status. Because the fundamental driver is you are always worth the attention of the prince. That is not our story. Pausing there for a moment. That is not our story. But we do have a story, and it's one that we're going to talk through because it works. It's got some tough love, gut punches to take, but it can drive your interactions and ultimately your success. Our story's not the princess and the prince. If you're unattractive, our story is Beauty and the Beast. Yes, Beauty and the Beast. Let that sink in. What's the story of Beauty and the Beast fundamentally? An attractive woman in a relationship with a beast who she learns to love. But let's take a look at the beast here, because what is the beast? The beast is fundamentally a very interesting character. The beast is debonair. The beast is financially successful. The beast is a provider and a leader. It's a beast. He's physically intimidating. The beast is basically everything except attractive. Everything except attractive. Now, I've talked about in separate show the things that you get rated on and that you really need to think about in your interactions with women. Your face, your height or your physique, your finances, your interaction. The beast is basically performing poorly on face, but performing phenomenally well on all of the other dimensions. Now, am I sitting here and saying that, you need to be a 10 on all of these other dimensions? No, I don't know that that's possible. I'm clearly not, and I don't know many people who I would say are. But that's the idea that's driving the interactions you need to think about. The beast offers beauty a lifestyle, an opportunity, intrigue, protection. The beast is positioning himself as a phenomenal option for her as she thinks about improving her life. Now let's pause for a second here because there's an important distinction to make. You can kind of break off into one of these two paths. Sugar daddies which is not what I'm talking about, and beast, which is. What's the difference? Sugar daddies provide women with stuff. Sugar daddies are not love, they are useful because they are offering stuff. Beast is offering experience, lifestyle, offering an opportunity to integrate into a great life and be a part of it. I'm not talking about sugar daddies. I'm talking beast. But for beast, what are you looking for? You're looking for a scenario where you can be viewed as an upgrade. And some of the things that you need to really think through are things that may be hard to do, but necessary. Physique. If you're unattractive and you really want to hit the market, there's very little reason to not be in shape, to not look like you're in shape. You need to be noteworthy. You need to find a way to be noteworthy somehow. And one of the simplest steps you can take is get in shape and look like you're in shape. That's going to be important because attraction, let's not kid ourselves. Physical attraction is important. And if you can't get it with your face, you need to get something going with your physique, with your body. Now, beyond that, finances become important. And this is particularly hard for younger guys who haven't had enough life experience to be able to pull together finances. But fundamentally, you either need to have it or you need to be able to demonstrate that you are on your way towards something meaningful. You can't just be flopping around. That doesn't work. The beast has lifestyle to offer. The beast has an upgrade that beauty is integrating into pretty easily. And that's what you've got to do. The beast was debonair. The beast was intelligent, interesting, cultured. You've got to think about how you are selling yourself, what you are offering that is an improvement to beauty's life. As a fundamental driver of interactions, the story of, the guy who's unattractive but has the attractive woman is rooted in Beauty and the Beast versus the handsome prince, which is an entirely different story, entirely different set of circumstances and requirements. We're going to be talking about this more, but I really want everyone here to start thinking about that beast persona and what you can do to present to women that way. Now, let's not kid ourselves. You're not going to start focusing on your finances and your physique and your interactions and have a harem of women who are all clamoring after you. That's not going to happen. Real life. But you can win a woman who you want, who you haven't been able to appeal to, by presenting yourself differently. More to come on that. However, let's get the conversation started and start rethinking what winning looks like.